Okay, so let's take this query builder process a bit further. So let's imagine that from the posts table, you want to fetch a certain post. In short, what I mean is basically you want to apply the where conditions in your query builder. How you can implement those. So for an instance, I want to get all those posts which has maybe a price greater than 90. So let's see how many posts we actually get that and how we can actually implement that. So where we are actually getting the posts and then we are joining with the table, uh, let's actually implement the functionality where I want to make sure that only the prices which are greater than 90 should show me those posts. So I will implement the where condition. Now inside the where condition, we have different parameters. We have parameter 1, um, then we have parameter 2, and then we have parameter 3. These are basically the most important ones that we use are basically the three parameters, the first three parameters. Last is an optional, which is a boolean. So let's say I want to use an where condition where I want to check the price. So price will be the column. The operator, I can use the operator, so I can use equals to, I can use greater than. So in that case I will use greater than operator, and for the value I will basically use the 90 symbol here. Now let's see how many values we are actually going to get. So if I reload the page, so we still are getting 20 records because it seems like we are having a price more than posts with the same price, which are basically fall under the same condition. So what I want to do is basically I want to check manually by typing the price. So where price is greater than 90. Now if I reload, now I see that we do have um, 18 posts in total, and this is actually fetching us the 20 posts still. Now the reason is that because we are still using the because we are using join here. So what is happening here is basically the join will automatically replicate the number of comments we have, and those comments will be divided multiplied by the post. So for example, if a post has 5 comments, so a one single post will be shown on the front end 5 times. So for that reason, let's actually remove this these two lines of code and now see what we are actually getting here. Now if I reload, you can see I now actually getting the exact same result, which is 18, and we have that 18 in our database as well. So this is how we can actually implement the where condition. Now there is another method of implementing the same where condition, and that method is basically instead of by using this condition, for now this condition is really important. So for example, if you want to implement another where condition, you have to type in another where. Okay, which is cool, which is okay and by the books, but there is a better way of doing so, and that is basically you can wrap all the conditions inside the inside the array. So I can use the array here, and the array will by default basically follow the equals to the equals to operator. Okay, so now if I just implement this and I say okay, it should be 90. Now you can see that there is no price which is basically that has the 90 value. So this is basically it is like price equals to 90. Now let's say you want to implement or utilize another condition, and that is right now this is like price equals to 90, and you also want to make sure that the somehow the title is basically let's say the active column is 1. Okay, so you can implement active, and that active you can also say it should be 1. Okay, so now if I reload the page, I will basically, now let's put this condition to 100 and now reload the page. I am now still getting 18 results, but if I now let's say put this value to 0 instead of 1, and I reload, now I am getting the 17 results. Okay, so that is basically how you can implement the where conditions in the Laravel by using the query builder. Now, additionally, you can also do a lot of other aggregate operations on the tables by using the query builder. So for now, I am going to comment this out, and I want to get the count of the posts table. So what I can do is basically I can just simply, instead of get, I can use count, and I can apply all these conditions. Obviously I do not need the descending order by descending, I do not need the limit, but I can apply the condition here as well. Okay, so let's say how many counts results we will be getting once we are going to use the count aggregate operation, or basically the function on our posts table. Now if I reload the page, now you can see I am actually getting the 17 results here. Okay, so this means that this query is basically giving me a sum of all the records that I have, and obviously it is also utilizing this condition as well. Now if I try to remove this condition, so and I reload the page again, now you can see I have all the sum of the record, all the basically records uh, that are basically in the post table, so the number of records in short. Now we can also check that if a record is exists, so for example if I say the price is 90 and I want to check, okay, so I can count this value. So if I now reload, you can see we now have a 0 here. Okay, but what do I want is basically I want to make sure that the record does exist. It shouldn't give me a count, it should give me like a boolean true or false. So what I can do, I can implement the exist function here. So by doing so, if I now reload, I am now getting a false. So this is basically a boolean now I am getting from the query. Instead of like count integer, I am now getting boolean true or false. So this is how you can basically get the record. uh, if you want to check this certain condition, that if the user is premium, and then or if the user has any record exist in the database, so you can obviously implement that exist function instead of like normal count operation. Now there is one very important thing which we normally use on our which we basically sometimes we have to use that condition inside our query builders or in Eloquent relationship. So that works in both ways, either in Eloquent relationship or in the query builder. And that is basically you want to implement the raw conditions. How you can implement the raw condition? For example, I want to put this condition in such a way. Let's assume that this is basically I want to check the data from another table. So I want to fetch those posts which basically exist inside and inside the another table. So for this example, we have a post comments. So I want to fetch only those posts which has comments. Okay, so what I can do is basically I can use the where, and I can say db, and I can utilize the raw method here. So inside the raw method, I will say select, and then inside the select post underscore id, where I obviously I can also apply the certain conditions here, and we'll, let's say for example condition 1 equals to basically let's say any kind of value we want to implement that. So for that reason we can utilize the where conditions. These are basically the raw conditions. I can implement that within the query builder or within the ORM. Now the other method is basically I can simply, instead of like using this db raw, I can use where raw as well. Now inside this where raw, I will have to just simply write my SQL query. So I will say select static from uh, table where condition could be anything. Okay, so this is how we can also implement the raw conditions on our Eloquent relationships or query builders. Okay, before concluding this lesson, there is one really important thing that we encounter most of the times, and as a beginner people do make a lot of mistakes, and sometimes the results, obviously most of the time the result is not exactly they want. Okay, so that is basically, for instance, you are applying a where condition and you are saying, let's say the price is 100. Okay, whereas you also are intending to apply an or condition here for any reason, and you say okay, or where, and inside the where you say, let's say price is greater than, let's say 50. Okay, so this is basically just a generic example, but there are multiple complex examples available. Now what happens is basically sometimes, and then you also say okay, where, let's say column, another column, let's say you have another column and you want to implement another condition on that as well, and that condition could be anything. Now here you can see that we have a where or condition, we have a where condition, and then we have where condition again. So this is same like where, and then we have or, where, and where. Okay, so this is how this is actually this is becoming. Now you want to make sure that these two conditions are basically treated as one condition, and then this condition should be treated as a single condition. So you may want to have these two where or where inside these brackets, and then you want to implement this where. So how you can do that? So the one way, and that is really common way, and what I prefer is basically you wrap these conditions with a main, within a main where condition. So I will say where, and I will give this a callback function. Okay, and inside this callback function I will put these conditions, these two conditions within this where condition. Okay, this is how you can actually implement the where condition, and make sure you don't forget to use the builder here. So builder, and then obviously you can utilize any. So I will say builder, and this builder will be the instance of the builder that we are basically referring to. Now by doing so, and also making sure you also put the semicolons here. Now this is how you need to make sure to wrap your conditions within the where condition if you want to make sure that two conditions, where conditions, should show similar something like this. So that is a really important tip. You should keep this thing in mind whenever you are implementing or conditions. So you always put your main conditions or the combining conditions within a main where condition. Okay, so that's about it. Hopefully this videos on query builder finds you useful. I will see you in the next one.